Welcome to Our Voice. I'm Rebecca Evans.
And I'm Mac Test. We'll begin our show today with a story of inspiration and involvement with a program called 1 Billion Rising.
And we also have the camp director, Paul Auger, who is part of I Can Bike. And it's a great program that helps disabled children learn how to ride a bike.
And after that, we'll step into the locker room here with the Steelheads and speak to the coach, Neil Graham.
And finally, the human experience, which is our musical component. We will be talking with Thomas Mapfumo. He is known as the Lion of Zimbabwe, and he really made a difference, a political uproaring, if you will, across the globe.
Yeah, let out a big roar, we could say. Stay tuned, there'll be a lot more to come.
It's an honor and privilege to hear your voices and to see you and hear the voices that have been silenced way too long.
Well, recently, Boise, Idaho was selected for a new chapter in an organization called Sheroes. And this organization fights against domestic violence, sexual abuse. It also helps support veterans, and it fights against human trafficking. One of the events in the chapter is called 1 Billion Rising. And my friend Marie Lukasak-Wallace has gotten a chance to be part of 1 Billion Rising, and I want to talk to you first of all about Sheroes. I mean, tell us just a little bit more about the organization, if you would.
Well, Sheroes is the male version or the female version of Heroes, and it really accentuates female role models, strong super female role models. And they have three pillars. One pillar is to fight against domestic violence, and really they're building awareness and against human trafficking, and then, like you said, our women veterans. And it's just something that I became passionate about.
Well, and I think really I've always known you as a writer and speaker and teacher, but you're an activist too. So how did you get involved in Sheroes and 1 Billion Rising? I mean, what inspired you?
So I have the Sheroes from Utah who were very active in this and supporting other women, and it was a big celebration, unifying spirits, unifying voices, and it was just a way to collaborate and bring women together. And then I read up about Eve Ensler, who started this. She wanted a call to action for the world, and 1 in 3 women will be beaten or raped in their lifetime, and she wanted to bring about this awareness. That equals 1 billion women in the world.
There's violence that we don't see, that a lot of women don't even share with us, and they want to look good for us, but it's there, and this needs to stop, and we need to make it safe for them to say so.
And so she started an event February 14th every year, and all around the world we do a dance called Break the Chain, and we just do it out in the public, and it's so empowering, and women will speak at these events. Women who've never spoken before get brave, and they come out and they speak, and I feel that empowerment.
Right, it's really, I mean, it's empathy training as well. I mean, because we're connecting on a global level, and I think of all the changes that are going on in Boise with, you know, a site as refugees. We're seeing a lot of more cultural diversity going on here. So to me, it kind of makes sense that we have an event like this happening. What are your thoughts about that?
I think anytime communities can get together and find out how we are more alike than different, find the gold in each other, that collaboration is so important. Build a sisterhood. With that sisterhood, you can build compassionate communities, and I think just enjoy the human spirit.
I would love to be in some kind of an organization to where I would be able to educate, and that I would be able to make a difference in somebody else's lives so they don't have to go through this.
I'm sure there's been a lot of great experiences along the way, you know, starting this chapter up, being part of this, and all that you do in the community. Is there a lesson that you've learned that you'd like to share?
I know I want to serve. I got to go to India and look into the eyes of women from 109 different countries, and see their souls and know that we're more alike than different. And it was very empowering, and it built my call to serve, as well as finding the gold in every person.
What is your vision as far as seeing the changes that happen and the transformation in our community, in our own backyard here?
I just think that everybody has a calling to serve in some way. It doesn't have to be through Sheroes. It can be through Braveheart Women. There's Inside Out. But if you can't serve at that level, serve in your schools, serve in your community. I mean, it starts at home.
Okay, so if people want to get involved, want to know more, want to be part of this, how can they get a hold of you?
I have a Boise chapter of Sheroes started on Facebook, and it's called SheroesUnited.org. And then I have mariesgold.com, where we're building a gold campaign for communities.
Which is really about finding the gold.
Finding the gold in
in
people and moments, in sisterhood.
I love that. Yeah, finding the gold. I love it. Okay, so get involved. I mean, I think that's really the key aspect. When you and I were talking, you even quoted Mark Cohn, the Holocaust survivor, about women get involved, be part of something bigger than just yourself. And even if it is just in your own home, you can get involved and you can teach compassion and empathy.
To remember who we are, that we are beautiful creatures, and that we are strong, and that we will flourish together in unity.
Okay, Marie, thank you so much for being here. But before you go, you have to tell me a little bit about this fabulous shirt. I love this. Where can we get one?
So they call it Sheroes Swag, so go to SheroesUnited.org, and you can buy caps or shirts of any color, both for men and women. They have Sheroes Heroes.
And it markets, does some of the proceeds go and help out too?
It helps support their cause.
Fabulous. Okay, thank you. Coming up next, we have the camp director of I Can Bike, Paul Auger, with us. He's talking to Dr. Mac Test. You're going to want to stay tuned.
People with disabilities often don't get the opportunity to ride a bicycle with two wheels. And Paul Auger, who is here from the Treasure Valley chapter of I Can Bike, works with these individuals during a week-long camp and has had a great success rate. I believe 80% of the children that come through end riding a bike for themselves. So welcome, Paul. Thank you for coming to Our Voice. So the first question is, tell me about I Can Bike. I see you have a great t-shirt, very shiny. How does it work? Tell me about it.
Absolutely. So I Can Bike is a program that teaches individuals with any disability how to ride a conventional two-wheel bike over a 5-day, week-long program. The sessions last about 75 minutes, and the program holds about 40 riders in the camp. Basically, the equipment is specially designed for the program, and it looks like a regular bike with the back wheel looking like a rolling pin instead of the tire. And so it creates a huge level of stability for the riders. And as they progress, they take pit stops or breaks, and the riders are encouraged to go get a drink of water or take a break, and they swap out that rolling pin to create a taper on the back wheel, and that creates a level of instability, and they progress through different rolling pins that have greater tapers until they're close to the same level of instability that a normal bicycle would have. At that point, they're transitioned from more of a gymnasium setting into a parking lot area where they actually get to ride a conventional two-wheel bike.
And the majority of the children that you're working with, I assume, do you get some adults as well, or is it mostly children?
The program basically starts at the age of 8, but there's no upper end cap. If there was an individual, let's say, that's 90 years old that wanted to learn how to ride a bike and didn't know how to do so, they could certainly participate in the program.
Oh, wow. So the majority of students would be those with Down syndrome, I understand, autism, are there other
Correct. I
disabilities?
mean, we host a lot of different diagnoses, but at least in our community, we tend to have, I would say about 40% that are Down syndrome, 40% that are autism, and then 20% that are other diagnoses.
Okay. Well, great. Such a great thing for the community and for Idaho. This is the only place in Idaho that people can come and participate in I Can Bike. I assume I Can Bike is a national organization?
Yes, I Can Bike is a national organization. They have camps that are throughout the United States and also into Canada. They hold about 100 camps per year, teaching about 3,000 individuals how to ride a bike. You know, the organization that I'm part of is the Treasure Valley Down Syndrome Association. They look for organizations like the Treasure Valley Down Syndrome Association to act as a host. The host organization's responsibility is to find the venue where the camp is going to be held, you know, source the riders, source the volunteers that are tied to the program, bring all those components together to make the camp happen, and then they come in and do the training. The camp, in order to be successful, requires about 100 volunteers. Yeah, so we...
How many students do you have?
We have about 40 students that participate in the 5-day camp. Those 100 volunteers, they do or don't have to have training from prior camps. The staff will come in and work with them to teach them how to spot the riders as they're learning to progress through the various stages of the camp. But the last thing is family members are also encouraged, because they're often the first line that's able to provide assistance for the rider in making them successful.
Show them how you can ride a bike. Show them how you can ride a bike. Show them how you can ride a bike. Look at that, will you? Look at that. Keep your feet on the
So
pedals.
what led you to get involved in this? I understand it's been running for 3 years.
Yeah. So
and you were there at the beginning?
Right.
Yeah.
So the Treasure Valley I Can Bike Camp is, this is our 3rd year. We started in 2014. How the camp essentially got started was I'm a parent with a daughter with Down syndrome.
Okay.
We had struggled for years to get my daughter how to learn to ride a bike. A number of years ago, we lived in Texas and had first heard about the I Can Bike program when we were living there.
Okay.
At the time, my wife and I were convinced that we could still teach our daughter how to ride a bike, and so we really didn't pursue the program at that time. You know, as now you fast forward to 2013 and we're still struggling and not having any success in getting our daughter to learn to ride a bike. And so we started investigating, you know, what would be required to bring the camp to the Treasure Valley. So my wife and I partnered with the Treasure Valley Down Syndrome Association. We both have an affiliation with them, and convinced them to host a camp in the Treasure Valley. You know, my daughter's success story, you know, my wife and I were a little skepticism about her being successful. Her biggest challenge was that she didn't want to have enough speed to be able to balance herself. She was scared of the speed.
Gotcha.
And so the self-confidence that I saw develop in her over the course of that week was amazing. She basically developed the self-confidence to have that speed, and she was successful riding at the end of the program.
So if somebody in the community here would like to get in touch with you or I Can Bike, how would we go about that?
The best way to get in touch with us would be to go out to the website, which I think that you have. You know, we certainly need any help that we can get in terms of volunteerism. Like I said, we need 100 volunteers. If people are interested in participating in the committee, the logistics of getting this camp to be successful is huge. I could certainly welcome the help. And then finally, you know, financial help. If there's any corporate sponsors that are interested in helping, we can certainly use the financial contribution to make the camp as economical as possible. But some riders also need financial assistance to participate in the camp, so that's another avenue.
Well, that's great. It's a great thing that you're doing for the community, and it's good that you've had the response for the community, and we hope to see it continue to grow. So thank you, Paul.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you
I
a lot.
appreciate you guys having me on the program today.
Yeah, it's been great chatting with you. So coming up next, Rebecca Evans is going to speak with the Lion of Zimbabwe, Thomas Mapfumo, who's going to help her understand the music of South Africa.
Well, I want to take a moment to set this next segment up, which is our human experience. Thomas Mapfumo was born in 1945 in Zimbabwe, and he really was an icon when it came to music because he called for the common people to overthrow their government, called for this outright, and he was eventually imprisoned for his actions and his music. We had a chance to sit down with him and really see how music connects us all, and that's what the human experience is all about. So let's take a moment and take a look. So Thomas, I wanted to start off, just with some simple questions. Did you know that you always wanted to be a musician?
No, I didn't know.
No?
No.
At what point did you realize that music was something that would be your livelihood in your life?
Well, when I started playing music, I never thought that was going to be my career. Maybe I thought maybe one day I was going to be a teacher or somebody else and do some different.
You took your music and you made something of it that was a little bit different. You were almost creating a call to action, right? The government got upset with you. You were bringing so much awareness. Against the government. You ended up in prison.
Yeah, they arrested me because of my music. They said my music was, supporting the liberation struggle. Because my people were the oppressed ones, and I had to support my people because they were fighting for their freedom, and I was one of them. Make no mistake about that. They found out that some of the music was very political.
Right.
And they ended up arresting me.
And your music it has been such a powerful tool. Both connecting and entertaining, but also just really helping people create awareness for change.
Yes. This music played a very big role, during the liberation struggle. But that wasn't to be. Look where we are today. Zimbabwe is number 2 poorest country in the whole world because of mismanagement.
And one thing, you've been such an inspiration. Is there inspiring words that you would like to leave with other musicians or artists, or advice?
They have, to be vocal. Their music have to stand for the poor people. stand with the poor people, support the poor people, because there's a lot of poverty in this world, and the poor people are suffering. Yes, they suffer every day. Some, they don't even have a home to sleep. And we have to see that the world has to change. Because today it's like the poor to the poor and the rich to the rich. That's not it. That's not the way it should work.
So maybe for those who have talents and gifts, use that gift to be a voice for the voiceless, to speak up for those who can't
Really,
see.
music has to be the voice of the voiceless.
Yes, I love that.
Yes.
I want to thank you so much. This has been such an honor meeting you. You've been such an inspiration and so much change and awareness. People who have not heard about the struggle in Zimbabwe, you have brought that
Thank you.
on the world level. Thank you for sharing
Thank
your
you
gift
so
with
much.
the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was quite something, Rebecca. What did you take away from this amazing interview?
Gosh, there's so much going on. I mean, the experience just being there was really a big deal. But what I really loved was the answers. You know, there was one guy on the set who said, you know, I am so connected to my music that when I don't play, I actually feel physically sick. And as a writer, I could really kind of understand that and relate to that. And I just thought how connected we all are in so many aspects. So it was really just beautiful.
Yeah, bringing that music to the stage and to the people, fantastic. So coming up next on Our Voice, we'll be speaking with coach of the Steelheads, Neil Graham. So stay tuned.
So here we are with Our Voice, and we have an opportunity to talk to head coach of the Idaho Steelheads, Neil Graham, and I'm so excited to have you here on the show, on the set. We're kind of in front of the penalty box, so the first thing I want to know, is this a familiar area for you?
Well, this is actually the visitor's box. So that's
Okay,
so
not a familiar area.
Yeah, well, not a familiar area. Maybe a few glares down the other side here and there, but didn't get too many penalties when I played, but tried to play hard nonetheless.
Okay, so up until like not that long ago, you were the youngest coach in the ECHL league, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of an uncanny thing. Do you think that was a good thing for you? Worked to your advantage in a sense?
Yeah, well, I think it's a positive. I mean, you can look at it many different ways, and you know, something we talked about is, you know, the cynics would say, you know, is he old enough to control respect in the room, control the players, and to be honest, I think I related well to my guys, and I definitely had a good understanding where they were coming from. You know, I hadn't been stopped playing that long myself, and it's a grind. You know, 72 regular season games. You know, you can play over 100 great games with playoffs if you go all year, and you need to know when to push them a little harder, and maybe when to ease off and give them an extra day here or two. And I like to think that's something being a younger coach really helped to decide in some of those areas.
Right, so you could relate to them, and one of the things that we did chat about was they could really pick up whether or not you were authentic. I mean, that authenticity, and I think because hockey is such an intuitive sport. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think, you know, there's many different ways to coach a team. There's a lot of different styles, and you know, I'm not convinced there's one way better than the next. But I think at the end of the day, you have to be yourself, and the players will know when you're not. If you know, if you're trying to be fake or you're trying to force something that's not quite yourself, they'll sniff it out pretty quick. So I really tried to be myself, and I'm a upbeat, positive guy by nature, and that's what I tried to bring into the room every day, and I think my players respected that.
I'm sure you have some really great stories. Are there significant turning points, you as a player, you as a coach? Because you weren't playing that long ago, right? I mean, so you know, is there some turning point for you that happened in both those arenas?
Yeah, no, I think over the course of my playing career, there were several turning points or several key moments that I remember specifically, and you know, a light bulb moment kind of for myself was, you know, I was 17. It was after my first year of junior A. It was my first year moving away from home 3 hours to play junior hockey. I got on board with a real good strength and conditioning coach in the summer named Doug Crashley. You know, he was you know, a mentor, as a guy I looked up to, as well as someone always pushed me to get better and it was more, away from the actual hockey stuff, but it was the strength and conditioning side, and improving some of those details. And the following year was a breakthrough year for me, and really started talking to a lot of NCAA schools. And the year after that is when I committed to a D1 school, and kind of set my path in the right direction to continue into pro hockey after that. So that's definitely a moment that I'll always remember as a player, and I'll be forever grateful to Doug and his training crew at Crash Conditioning in Calgary, Alberta. So a little shout out to him.
Yeah, and as a coach, significant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to look too far. Being my first year, it was a pretty neat season for us in Idaho, and I was laughing. My mother-in-law actually gives me a hard time and says, you always said it would take 20, 25 games for the team to really click, being so much change from the year before, and that's what I predicted. And we started the year a little slower. We were 7-14 and 4 or whatever it may have been, and we weren't playing poorly. We weren't a bad hockey team. We just weren't finding ways to win. There was that light bulb moment, game 26. We were in Tulsa. I had spoken with our team president that morning, and I remember saying to him specifically, we lost the night before, and I said, tonight's going to be the start of the turnaround. And I said, the guys are all in. I said, we haven't had as many wins as we want, but the guys are all in. I can tell them it's going to turn around. And it was pretty special. We won 7 in a row at that point to get us back to 500. And then really the rest of the season took off and finished on a 31-10-6 run.
So parents out there who are getting their kids involved in sports, do you have any recommendation or advice you could give them?
I let the kids play. Let them play as many sports as they can. Let them have fun. And at the end of the day, it's good to be encouraging, but don't push them to the point where they don't want to play. And it's important to let them develop, and have fun. Playing multiple sports is how you develop athletes. And even when I played hockey, it wasn't until I was in high school where I still played golf in the summer. I still had a summer sport. I still had a winter sport.
Hockey players play golf.
Yeah, and I played baseball right up into high school, and I played soccer and lacrosse, and that's how you develop athletes. Play sports, have fun. Kids are competitive. They're going to push themselves. They're going to want to win. They're going to want to do the extras. But if you can get them into things that they want to do, let them do it and have fun.
Awesome advice. Great to meet you, and I'm so honored, that you are part of the Steelheads, and having the youngest coach in the league. I mean, it made a difference. I think you connected on a different level, and I think you set the bar. So great to have you. Great to have you on our show. So,
well, I appreciate it for having me on. Thanks a lot, guys.
Well, we love sharing stories, and really our guests give us this great opportunity to share stories that make a difference, stories that matter.
Yeah, and we certainly wouldn't be able to do it without the sponsors.
So yes, like the CenturyLink Arena, the Grove Hotel, and Fame Fresh Air Media Entertainment. So we're so grateful for some of our sponsors.
Right, and of course we're grateful to you, the viewers, for all the support you've been giving us.
So don't forget, share your stories, because your voice matters.
It certainly does here on Our Voice.